Okay, so I have with us the current exhibiting artist, Carissa Brudos, and she has joined us to talk about her exhibition, What Lies Beneath. What Lies Beneath is a collection of work reflecting a moment in time, a memory, a sensation, and feeling. Carissa's artwork is inspired by the natural journey of discovering the process of qualities of wax. Her work is inspired by the beauty and sensations she has experienced in many environments she encounters. Carissa is drawn to organic repetition found in nature, soft edges without hard boundaries. Her intention is to share her love of rich, dimensional, and mysterious surfaces that fascinate and surprise. Since art lives in her heart, it would continue to evolve with her. Making art ignites her passion and then flies away into the world and brings light to others. So, thanks for joining us, Carissa.
Yes, thank
If
you.
you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your work.
I am formerly from Merrill, Wisconsin, and I came to the La Crosse area to for college. And this is where I've always had a love for art. So I took obviously I was starting out with something different in mind for my major, but then um, I ended up getting into art as because it's always been my passion. And I went to UWL and got a teaching degree and my master's in art education. And the past 20 years, I was teaching in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I taught at various schools from Central High School to Northside schools, and then eventually was at Summit Environmental School for about 15 years. And then just recently, last year, I switched teaching positions in DeSoto, Wisconsin, which is actually about 7 miles from my home. So it was just a good transition. But throughout the years of teaching and teaching my students different applications, different media and materials and art, I'm kind of that same way. I like to dive in and try different things. And so it was just happened to be a weekend course at UWL with Jennifer Terpstra in caustic. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I love the idea of the mixed media. I love the idea of the layers. A lot of my work is a lot use of layers just as a metaphor of our layers of life. So every day is a different layer that we add on, and things change and morph throughout that time. So and caustic was definitely a great medium for to explore that. And so yeah, I've been doing it since probably I would say the last 5-7 years.
How were you introduced to encaustic since it's, a rarer form of medium being used these days?
I just, like I said, I started with at UWL with Jennifer Terpstra and explored it from there. And then I just started like seeking out different artists that use encaustic. And I found another artist, Jody Reeb from Minneapolis. And so I've been taking just workshops and exploration with the media and the processes with her and other encaustic artists that she comes around that she works with or explores with and does different kinds of collaborations with. So I've just been learning the process. I learn more, as I practice it and play with it. So it's just kind of it's fun and it's a very freeing material, which I really like.
Wonderful. Well, maybe we can talk about some of your works that you exhibited in What Lies Beneath. So we can flip through, or you can just let us know about one you might want to talk about in particular.
Okay. The series on the white wall was just kind of no, yeah, there you go. So these pieces kind of a lot of things that I'm trying to do is embed. So in the third piece, I'm embedding old fabric patterns that are like were printed on tissue paper. So embedding that use of line to kind of give like direction to the pieces. So these are kind of a series of real landscapes-esque kind of pieces that reflect just kind of a place, a moment in time, like I said in my biography. and just kind of working with color and just very simple and very organic lines and colors. And there's some different techniques in there with letting the wax kind of just using the heat to kind of blow it around and getting that real cloud kind of effect in a few of them.
So do you buy wax that's already colored, or do you add color to it? Is it a
So
mixture?
encaustic wax comes, it's part beeswax and then it's part damar resin. And damar resin is like a tree sap, and that's what gives it kind of its rigidity. So that otherwise, if you're painting with beeswax, you touch it, it's gonna like indent, or it's gonna be too soft. So this way it gives it hardness. So when it comes in like kind of like a clear, kind of a creamish, just kind of like a beeswax color. That's called the medium. And you can use that to lighten colors and add just a small pigment to it and make it more translucent. Otherwise, you can get the actual pigments, which is more rich in color.
I noticed in some of your works you had different materials embedded in the encaustic. Is the material itself able to hold those, or did you have to adhere them in some way?
So like these three here, at least a couple of them have actually just some, I wanted to see what would happen with those are just kind of like nail tacks. So I embedded those as kind of like rocks. I've bed like tissue paper underneath the surface to give it another kind of dimension and to give texture. And then in some of these too, I can use stencils. So on the far right one, um, not the tree one, but the landscape one, you can see those kind of bubbles. So I can actually put a stencil down, put wax on it, lift the stencil up, and then it will leave that impression there. And then what you can do is, so what happens is the wax actually sits above the surface. And then if I take wax and let it dry on my brush a little bit and brush over that, you can keep building the surface. And that's called accretion. And that's actually what you'll see on the far right with the tree, the small tree space, treescape.
Hmm.
So the wax is literally built up, and that's just by dry brushing over and over and just lightly heating it.
Okay. So in terms of preparation, or any preparatory drawings with your work, or it seemed when you were discussing the medium, there's a lot of experimentation.
Mhm.
Where do those two meet, experimenting and preparation?
So I kind of start out with images, like some of this collection here is kind of images from above, different perspectives. And so I'm using like from my travels. So there might be like aerial views from the plane if I'm going, a lot of them reflect memories, like I said, in places that I've been. So some of these are like of the coast when I was traveling to Europe or to Jamaica or things like that that I have gone to. And then other ones are just kind of more kind of intimate um, places, like the ones with the branches, like, canoeing or on the Mississippi or on the Kickapoo where I've gone in the summers, and tubing and things. So it's kind of like, you're brushing underneath the branches and looking above. So it's just kind of different perspectives, and then just playing around with the material and the color and texture. So for me, it was like, this is something that I see or that I'm seeing in each piece. But then when other people look at it, it might be something different that they see, or that it, evokes some kind of memory for
Mm-hmm.
them.
I see. Um, in terms of scale, all of yours seem very intimate, and that kind of ties into your idea of these being memories, or memories for other people. Um, are your works always this size, or generally?
Well, I like to start with the small ones, like I said, for for them being more intimate and personal. But I've been trying to work larger. I like working in these multiples because of the fact that, you could have them as a separate entity, separate piece, or you can use them as multiples. And they're easier. I like the whole idea of them all being put together, or just one or two separately on their own. But I am working on some new pieces and trying to work my way up to larger pieces. The larger pieces require a lot more space and obviously a lot
Mhm,
more wax. So I'm working
mhm.
on a new collection and hopefully getting into some larger pieces.
Wonderful. Well, that's all of the questions I have. If there's anything else you want to share with us about what lies beneath or just your practice in general, we can take a minute for
Um,
that.
I mean, I'm just glad to be part of the gallery and glad to be able to display my work. And I hope people had a chance to get to look at it and enjoy it. And yeah, I hope I can start bringing some other pieces later.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Carissa Brudos, for joining us. And we hope to see you all in the gallery.
All right, thank you.